I think we
Yeah,
should.
yeah. So can I formally start with welcoming everyone today? Thank you so much for joining in. I've already thanked Vignesh on your behalf for taking time out, making all the effort to take us through the fantastic HR practices that are there. Just to give a quick brief on the WIF journey so far, very happy to share that we are now close to 192 members in all. We've completed 1 year last month. So far, we have done 3 online and 3 offline meetings. As discussed, we are having a quarterly meeting. This is the 4th meeting, and we discussed that we will have quarterly online meetings, which we have completely adhered to. We also discussed that we will have at least two physical meetings, and we have already done 3 so far. We started with our first meeting at Raipur. The second meeting we did at the Auto Summit, and the third meeting was a study tour at Coimbatore, and we had close to 25 women dealers who joined for that event, and I think they took a lot from that event. So the journey, this is just that much, but the fact is, what I am very happy to see is that after joining WIF, I have seen an increase in the women participation in the main FADA events, which was the main thing. See, so WIF is just a kind of a platform to take you to the main fray. I've always said that WIF is just a platform to take us to the main frame of FADA. Why can FADA not have a woman president? Why can FADA not have more women at the GC? It can. And this is just a beginning. So this is where we want all our women to be. This is the final idea. And with this, I would also like to request all of you to please try and join in for the ARC, which is scheduled for the 14th of September in Delhi. It will be great. We already have about 5-6 confirmations, but a bigger number will be better. We had close to 12 women participants at the summit, which was a very, very good number. It will be nice if we can have at least 2 tables full of women at the Auto Summit. I think that would be lovely. So request you all to be there. I would also, Krishna has joined us. Krishna is the RD for Rajasthan, WIF RD for Rajasthan. And she has been very active. And I would request her to share her journey with us so far. Krishna, over to you.
Hello everyone. Thank you. Very good evening, everyone. My greetings, warmest greetings to all the dignitaries here and all my co-dealers here. Lovely. It's been a gorgeous journey. And is it okay if I don't put my video on, because I'm just in transit of something and don't want to waste time, since it's a very, very important HR session. So I think everybody's waiting. Is it fine, Garima?
Yeah, sure. We know, yeah. We need to hear you. We need to feel you. That's it. It's okay. We can't see you.
Thank you. So yes, back to it. So I'm Krishna Rathi. I serve as a dealer principal in Rajasthan, 2 districts, Bhilwara, Chittorgarh, and I've been a dealer like for almost 6 to 7 years here. And but I must tell you that I take immense pride to be the regional director here for the WIF, representing the WIF voice in Rajasthan. And it's been truly exceptional for me with working with the, mentors like Ma'am Garima, Ma'am Indira, and other my co-WIF members here. Our journey here in Rajasthan is nothing short of phenomenal, guys. And, when we started from a modest group of 2 to 3 members in Rajasthan here, of course, there were a lot of women auto dealers, and some or the other way they were involved fully in the business, but not taking leadership posts, not very participative. So we started with 2 to 3 members, but today we have evolved as a dynamic group of 9 WIF members, very much in Rajasthan here, like within a span of 1 year. So I think, congratulations goes to every one of us, each one of us, to inspire each other here. And I believe it's truly inspiring. And the the WIF panel and everybody from FADA, I would like to thank them also to give all of us an abundance of learning opportunities within the WIF ecosystem itself, along with FADA. So both like our webinars and just like today what we are having, like it's amazing to learn online and offline both. With this, I'm very confident that our family will continue to expand and further amplify our collective voice, a stronger voice. So we have a balanced voice. We are soft and strong both now. So dear friends, at WIF, we constitute a diverse ensemble and we represent various backgrounds and communities, today. Being like, as Ma'am Garima just mentioned, we are more than 100 today. Nevertheless, our shared commitments to challenging conventions unites us. The learning unites us, strengthening our roots. So I request each of you to engage more actively, deepen your involvement, like members here at WIF, whoever is present. Guys, please be more participative. You'll enjoy more. Rest assured, WIF embodies are transformative. It's pretty transformative for me. It has become, one word is, I have transformed. Alliance of a dynamic women, bound together by a common life purpose. We are the standard barriers of multitasking. We all know that, and our potential is boundless. So guys, let us shatter the glass ceiling, rekindle the spirit of sisterhood, and offer support to one another in personal as well as professional growth. Today, together, we can embark on a journey of learning, growth, and personal enrichment with WIF. My experience with WIF has been enriching beyond measures, guys. And I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the members here, because each one of you are inspiring enough to, get me going, get us going together with sisterhood and love and compassion and learning, and special thanks to Ma'am Garima for always pushing. I'm so sorry, not every time, I'm able to be there for every meeting. But yes, your support is so amazing. It pushes me every time. Ma'am Indira, you too. If you are here, yes, I'm sure you would be. And all the FADA members, guys, you've been that strong support, and for your unwavering support in advancing and expanding WIF, guys. Thank you for having the patience. And that's what I felt, with once entire span of year we've spent together, expanding and growing our family, more than 100 plus today. In Rajasthan itself, we have grown by 8 to 10 members. So, and I hope that we learn more and we have a stronger voice in future. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you so much for those wonderful words of encouragement.
Thanks, guys.
So, Vignesh, I think let's go back to you, the hero of the day. Everybody is keenly waiting to hear from you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Indira ma'am, can we have the presentation up? So one thing which I always keep telling my family, we are the third generation in business, is that we are the safekeepers for the future because of we benefited from the past. So it's something which we are quite aware about, that we're taking over an organization which has been there as a dealership, yes, for the last 24 years, but we have been into the dealership business for more than 60 years. So we understand that this has been an organization, a journey which has evolved as a culture over a period of time. That's why always in our organization we keep talking about culture and how an organization is a culture. It's kind of an organism by itself. It has its own individualistic properties. And one of the key things we do in our HR ecosystem is how do we cultivate this culture in our organizations. Indra ma'am, the next one, please. So we're going to dwell with three main concepts here. One is the importance of culture cultivation, another one being the culture cultivation journey, and the conclusion, of course. Yes, ma'am. Why is it important for an organization to have a culture? Every organization has a culture, whether we realize it or not. But how does this culture help in a lot of things. For example, how does it reach out to its employees? How does it reach out to the stakeholders who could be suppliers, they could be our business partners? How does it also identify with the company and with the image of the company? All this, how it also goes on finally to attract good talents towards our company. It has to be kind of a place where talent crystallizes, and it draws good people. So the cultivation is so important because at the end of the day, most people, whether it's a customer, whether it's a supplier, whether it's one of our partners, they all come towards the company because of what it stands for. And not only that, we also need to make sure that we are able to consistently do this, regardless of the situation, whether we are in the best of times or the worst of times. We need to make sure that we behave in the way which we are communicated. I know there were times when some of our products were they were waiting for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So at one point, there was a dealer partner who my grandfather said this. So the dealer partner approached my grandfather and said, "Okay, anyway, there's so much of demand. Why don't we sell this at about a 10 or 15,000 rupee premium?" And my granddad apparently told the dealer friend that something very similar. He said, regardless of the situation, today we might have a situation where there is demand. Tomorrow, when there's not, the customers probably need to look at us in a way which is respectful and not tell us, okay, just because there was a demand, we can sell it at a premium. So all these things go a long way. And let's say our situation is dire. Let's say our situation is there's too much of stockpile up. There's a very hard economic downturn happening. Again, all these stakeholders, whether it's our own employees, whether it is our partners, our stakeholders, the public, they also look at us and see how we react. One of the classic examples was when we were there, we went through the COVID situation. A lot of companies reacted in a very different way towards COVID as such. Some companies really came out well because we had great policies. We didn't make sure that we retrenched people. We made sure that the money which is going to the customer, our employees, ultimately reach them. So all these things go a long way to talk about how we can withstand the bouquets as well as the brickbats and still remain as what we are. This would be something which is very core and which is going to help us in the long run. Thank you. Ma'am? In this, we are talking about, basically, we want to communicate about our people centricity in our approaches. So, keeping people at the center, our core organization values would revolve around making sure that we create leaders. In Anaamalais, we'll be covering it a little bit later in detail, but we are a 100% organic team. We don't hire people except from the bottommost level. We don't have any lateral recruitment. This has worked for us. Also, creating a workforce environment where we make sure that our people not only have a great place to work in, but they have a place where they can develop as a person, making sure they become better people, better leaders, better teammates, and so on. We also make sure that all our policies, all our values are mostly not top down. A lot of our policies actually are made in town halls. A lot of our feedback systems help us formulate policies, and all of our policies are always dynamic, and we make sure we communicate this very clearly back to our team. Again, coming to motivation, our motivation for example, we've been having really high employee engagement scores, and we also been having very high our retention rates are crazy. One of the reasons why this has happened is because of we thinking long term and we looking at our team members as assets rather than anything else. Of course, tools and technology is something which is very important today. We can always say that tomorrow AI is going to take over, but there has to be someone who's going to manage this AI. And for managing this AI, we make sure that our people are best trained in the most latest technological evolutions and tools available in the market. Again, when you look at our people-centric approach, we talk about how we have to get the right people and making sure they have the right skill sets by also communicating to them what is required of them, what is required of as an individual, what is required as a team, and what is required as a vertical or a branch. We also have extremely clever people at the top, and we are able to develop them by at the same time talking to them about how they need to be accountable for it. For example, the president of my company, my dealership, started off 54 years ago, as a pump boy. He used to basically fill petrol in our petrol pumps. And from there, I don't think he's even he has a degree, but he's been able to work his way up. And he's right now heading a large organization with thousands of people under him. We again talk about processes. One of the things we really concentrate on is in our organization, thanks to our partners also who have insisted that processes do work. We have found out that processes are very, very challenging to implement. But once implemented, these processes have, are this amazing, and they're really able to take over a different kind of efficiency, and it ultimately leads to better satisfaction with the customers and our team members. We also look at how winning looks like. It's something very big for us. Winning is very important because winning also creates great vibes. Winning creates a good environment to learn from, but we're not paranoid about it. We're not paranoid about losing because we love losing. Sometimes we learn much more when we lose. Our only a rule which we have about losing is don't lose twice. You lose once, make sure we learn our lessons, and next time we go back all guns firing, and we make sure that whatever targets, whatever things we have laid out for is achieved. Next one, please. Yes, so this is a journey. As I told you, our recruitment, we concentrate on the right person. And after recruiting them, we have an orientation program, which is 13 days of it. And the first week of it, we figured out that it is very important to know what kind of a person we are trying to hire. Keeping that in mind, we have made sure that our first 6 days of training concentrates purely about talking about ethics, about morals, about making sure we talk to them about our group, what our culture is, what our ambitions are. We also talk about visioning or what's happened over the years. We also talk about our partners. Right now, we are partnering with brands like Benelli, Toyota, VCV, and Ather. We also talk about how these companies and what their core values are, and so on. So at the end of the first week, if the particular person who wants to join our team would actually sit through this and concentrate on this, and who's interested in after all this, only these people are taken for technical training or any job specific skills. Until then, we just try to figure out what this person does and what does he think. We literally want to peer into the person's soul and think whether this person is a good fit for us or not. The reason being, although for many decades we have had high employee engagement and retention, we always felt we can get better. And when we felt we can get better, when we went and asked questions at the exit interview, we found out that these are great people who are actually leaving us, but who are not a great fit for our organization. That's because we haven't told who we are clearly before they want to come in. And therefore, the expectations are very different from what our deliverables were. So this really helped us. We also take the, our executives, how it's very important for us. Review mechanisms are very important for us. We also have a very structured review mechanism. Our reporting culture is quite strong. We also talk about being extremely transparent with the employees regarding be it their performance, be it performance of our dealerships, our profitability. We also have extremely high engagement cultures by having small group activities. We have a Kaizen culture. We also have a Kaizen forum, and so on, to make sure these our team members are always engaged. What this for the executive. When you look at our middle management, again, our monitoring culture is something which is very strong and well appreciated within the industry. The middle management, we think, is the right place to have extremely good processes regarding monitoring, regarding review, and regarding PDCA. PDCA is nothing but a very Japanese and a Toyota kind of approach. It is in some ways, in a small part, kind of a replacement or an equal to Six Sigma. PDCA basically stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. So we do planning for 60% of the time. We do a pilot project by doing a pilot project, and then we check its results, and then we act. So in total, the acting, which is acting upon a project, only takes about 10-15% of the time. The rest of the time, we think about how we can expand it, how we can deploy this particular project. Yes, this is one way of thinking. Of course, there are different ways of thinking which says you need to plan only for 10% of your time, and the rest of it you need to quickly go and implement and make sure the results are coming. This has worked for us, and there are obtain amount of approaches out there, and all of them are equally successful. When it comes to top management, when I say that, it doesn't include dealer principals. It includes the people, the leaders under us who are able to help us run our organization. There are only two things. One is target setting, and one is visualization culture. We'll be covering these 2 points in detail a little bit later. And this is all what the top management needs to do. They don't get into operations. Operations need to be taken care of by the middle management. Why we do it? We believe in high amount of delegation, and through delegation, we truly believe that people development happens, and we don't tread on other people's time or foot. The biggest bane in a lot of organizations is that we always end up doing someone else's job. Here, the dotted lines are very clear. What's my job and what someone else's, and we make sure that we do our job. We give enough time for our job, and when everyone does this, it just works like a song. Next one, ma'am. One of the biggest challenges, as I covered earlier, would be our stage one, which is the recruitment process. What do we take? There are two factors which we consider here. One of the things we consider is, interestingly, in our organization, we talk about family, social standards, and needs, and local natives. We go and make sure when the candidate comes here, we are able to filter the candidate after taking an interview. We make sure we visit the candidate's house. We make sure that this person needs to be a breadwinner, and that they also have to have a need to work with us long term. If let's say there are here, I mean, he comes from a very large family and he's going to come as a sales officer or something like that. It is never going to work, because they're going to come into our organization, make sure that they have some experience, and they go out. So at the end of the day, we're not a training center. We are a running business who also conducts training. So we go in detail. We make sure we go to our the houses. We speak to the family members, understand social standards, whether they are from a good family, whether they are from a family, they may not be rich, they may not be from a certain community, they may not be whatever, but whether they have a good standing in the locality. We also make sure that we don't siphon out people from all other districts into our organizations. 80% of our people, actually 85% of our employees actually come from literally that pin code. We don't take people living from the other end of the city, because it doesn't make sense for them to travel in terms of cost, in terms of time taken, etc. Only 20% of time is given to their education and skill, because we believe that we can imbibe them with any skill or any kind of a qualification by our training centers. The factor two is that 80% are fresh finds, 20% are experienced. 20% experience, even if we take them, we try not to take them from the same industry. We take them directly, we take them from other industries. So this 20% of experience from other industries also is brought into our organization, and we are able to take the expertise and learnings from other industries. What is the outcome? Of course, we are able to easier and faster adopt these people into our company culture because they don't have any baggage. As I told you, it's a 100% organic growth where people, when they start off at the lowest level, and then they have to work themselves up. Again, we have a lot of projects running in the hills with the scheduled tribe and other underprivileged people, where we are able to work with them. We're able to invest in their ITIs, invest in their schools, and we're able to create a conveyor belt where we're able to go there and not only benefit from the fact that society is being improved, but also from the fact that we are able to absorb them into our own company. And we are over 3,000 people in our dealership business, and about 35% of our team members are women. We've been trying hard to get them into certain roles, like technicians, certain roles like on-field sales officers, and also for having challenges and having service advisors. But in most of the roles, they are there. My ideal percentage would be 50-50. We are striving towards that, and hopefully we get there. The next one, then. As I told you, we have an extremely robust orientation program. In the orientation program, the three most important things what we talk about is how we need to have a culture of respect and respect to everyone's job. For us, respecting everyone there working with us is so important, because unless if one of those people don't end up doing their job, end of the day, customers dissatisfied, and it pretty much reflects on all of us. Also, a culture of safety. We take pride in it. We spend a lot of time, resource. We brainstorm about a safety culture. We are having a zero accident culture, touch wood, for a very, very long time in all our workshops and all our showrooms, and we continue doing that. Long before the government made things like seat belts and helmets mandatory on the road, there is. We made it as in our company that these are mandatory, and they're giving warnings, and there are people who also have been sent away because their culture wouldn't get along with us. Communication is key to a successful organization, and we work very, very hard at it. In the first 6 days of the person coming into our rotation program, we make sure that they spend time in every activity. I'm talking about including being a security, helping us out with the housekeeping, washing of vehicles, general service workshop, body and paint, service parts, customer retention, relations, warranty, body and paint, and also general service reception. Reason being, all of us need to know we are like a gearbox, a lot of gears in it. If one gear fails, the whole vehicle doesn't move, and each of these gears, small, large, doesn't matter, need to work in unison. And respect for people, respect for the jobs they do is something which we really want to imbibe very early on during the orientation program. Ma'am, next one, please. When people are being trained, there are a couple of things which you really do. The first one being buddy concept. This happens for 2 to 3 months, because sometimes buddy concepts I've seen, we also done that. We've had it for a week, 10 days, but then it never really ends up working. We probably, what we have done right now, or we took a lot of learnings, a lot of suggestions in exit interviews, town halls, and we felt that there has to be a buddy who is able to mentor one of our new joinees at least for 2 to 3 months. Why the buddy system is because a senior representative is always there to make sure that our new joinee, we are able to talk to the new joinee about our culture, about how we work, how is the communication, HR policies, etc. This also helps in certain things which are unsaid, which may not be put on paper, black and white, but these people end up talking, seniors end up talking about their experiences in the company, what the company has done for them, what they have contributed to the company, how they've seen people grow. So this kind of informal communication is really, really important. We have felt that has really worked for us. And at the end of the day, in terms of consensus building, in terms of cooperation culture, working as one team, it really helps. For us, it really doesn't matter whether we belong to used car, sales, service, whatever. At the end of the day, the customer for them, only Anaamalais as a brand is important to them. So we work on in a concept where all of us unify in an endeavor to help the customer and to make sure that we also help ourselves. Ma'am? Yes, the second system which we have, apart from the buddy system, is the Gurukul system. We have an extremely strong Gurukul system. We've invested a lot of money. We have invested a lot of space. We have also invested a lot of our best manpower are there in the Gurukul. Gurukul is basically a training center where they are there trying to train our next in line. I think some of our friends here have visited our dealership in over the last many years, and they could have seen how things have improved. Our Gurukul system, our training centers, in total across the group, we have nearly about 23, 24 trainers, whether it's sales, service, where their only job is to train people on an everyday basis. Some of them are located in the head office. Some of them are located in other parts of where we are present geographically. Yes. So where the executive, as far as the executive goes, what do we do for them? We have so executives probably make 90% of our, let's say 85% of our team members. What is important to them? What is something which they really look forward to and appreciate? Yes, number one, they need to have a very, very clear understanding of how our organization works, how we are able to have the right person, how we are able to have. They also need an organization which is able to delegate to them. Give them enough space for them to work, enough space for them to bring their own thoughts. In case they have a process or a thought which is going to help us do better, we make sure that we are all ears and the person is able to come and implement whatever they want to think. And also, we try very, very hard to understand everyone's limits and everyone's strengths, everyone's weakness. So then we can actually go there and work with them. A SWOT is done individually for every team member, and we really work very hard with them to either remedy certain weaknesses, or we even ask them, what else do you want us to do for you? How else do you think you can become a better team member? And it's really been quite endearing when they come and tell us these are things where I think is my weakness and I would like the company to help me out. The most important thing which we have done in the last 5-6 years is to have a very, very clear career path. We never used to do that. We used to tell them that, you do well, you grow up in the organization and all that. But then we realized that we don't give anything in black and white, and everyone wants transparency. So we go back, we sit with our people, we talk to them about how you can start off from a trainee and you can go all the way to the assistant manager, the growth path, how long it is going to take, and what are the expectations which need to be fulfilled for that to happen. We also have very strong policies which in terms of discipline, in terms of teamwork, in terms of accountability, which I already talked about before, because as far as accountability is very, very important. Rights and responsibilities go hand in hand, and making sure that there are certain regulations which need to be adhered to. But however, these regulations are not static, they can be dynamic. These regulations can be challenged through the right hierarchy, where we always sit and redefine about delegations, about certain policies which we used to have, which needs to change with the current environment. We try making the decision-making box larger and larger, so more freedom and empowerment is given to our people. Indra, ma'am? Again, for a person working there, 85% of our team members are executives, and we need to make sure that a positive working environment is created for them. We have an extremely strong Kaizen review system. At one point, more or less half of Kaizens going from our dealership to our principal. In this case, it's one of our principals is Toyota. Used to come from Anaamalais. There are only two meetings which all of us sit together and discuss. One, of course, the monthly performance meeting, and there's a bigger team to discuss Kaizens. Kaizens are rewarded, Kaizens are awarded, they become heroes whom we sing about. We also have extremely high dividends from having a high Kaizen culture. For example, we have productivity Kaizens, we have customer focused Kaizens. Sometimes we have Kaizens in a month. We'll probably talk about a particular theme, and a theme-based Kaizens also do come. And these are the various Kaizens which we have put up. One would be, of course, the repair process, where the customer always says, why is OEM workshop always more expensive than an outside workshop? We talk to them about the complete process, what happens in a body and paint, what happens in terms of the materials used, the skills which we apply on a vehicle to get a vehicle ready. So again, this has really helped us, and it has been able to sustain innovation in our team. Ma'am? Again, the softer issues of it, so we make sure that we have the usual best performer awards. I'm sure all of us are doing it. A lot of us also do, certain things which go beyond what is required of the manufacturer. Our manufacturer basically talks about having skill contests for a lot of certifiable jobs, where Toyota gives us certificates, let's say, for a service advisor, for a technician. But then we found out that certain categories like a pantry in charge, a driver, a washer, or a lobby in charge probably does not have they're not part of a skill contest. So we make sure we include all of these people, including our housekeeping staff, are part of skill contest. We also make sure that moment there's a wedding in a team, we make sure that we bring their family over to have a look at our to see where the spouse or the new family member works at. And this also, when we do this, if I can call it ego, the prestige of the person who, of our team member goes up in the eyes of the in-laws and their family. And we also have the only thing which I get directly involved on a day-to-day basis is to make sure that the grievance is addressed. And I have an email ID which any of our team members can address directly to me, and we try solving issues, because we know we are imperfect in a lot of ways, and we want to improve ourselves and the lives of our people who work with us. Ma'am? One of the things we also have is kind of a shadow system. A shadow system is a person basically identifying successes. We have a concept of P1 and P2. Each one of our employees have to identify two people. One is a P1 and a P2. A P1 is a person who can take over from me in 3 months' time. A P2 is a person who can take over from me in 6 months' time. My promotion and my evaluation also depends upon how I am able to develop people. So this shadow system has worked. We also don't have people who work in the same job for more than 3 years. They are either put into from general service to body and paint, or body and paint to parts, to sales and CR. So we make sure that they become leaders. By experiencing different challenges and also coming out as winners. The one thing which we promise our employees is lifetime employment. You join us, as long as you are able to meet our expectations, there is no reason we're going to get anyone out. And 99.99% people stay with us is because also a responsibility. Moment I recruit a person, for us it's literally not done to send people out. We have taken a person, as long as there is no legal, there is no behavioral issues. Performance is something which we need to make sure that person is able to come up to scratch. Next one, ma'am. When it comes to middle management, again, these people are managers in every sense of the way. They need to manage the situation, manage the resources, and make sure these resources are giving results. We have extremely strong review systems. I keep talking about this very, very often because having structured review systems helps each man to do or each woman to do their job. We have daily, weekly, monthly, and fortnightly reviews. We make sure we also have a list of what questions to ask and what questions not to ask. Because sometimes we also spend a lot of time wasting time of ourselves by asking unwanted questions which are unnecessary at that point, and the other way around too. Sometimes we don't tend to ask certain questions which need to be asked. So there is a certain KPIs also which are laid out, and the review approach is to make sure that the overall the reviews are fair, they are transparent. The reviews also are data driven. The reviews are also linked to KPI, active KPIs, and also to make sure that the decision making accountability is fair, because we can't accept some issues where people are asked to take decisions but are not responsible. But sometimes also people are held responsible when they don't have any power to take a decision. So we go review all these things, we constantly monitor it, and also have to have a very, very strong monitoring culture. And our review mechanism is something which is very core in our value and which we believe really helps our organization be one of the better ones out there. Next one, ma'am. Again, for us, everything starts with data, everything starts with facts, and we have extremely strong gap analysis where we are able to have, there are basically two types of problems. Occurrence type of problem is something which you look at it, which has already occurred, and we find a solution for it. But in terms of things like a setting type problem is something which is imagined. Certain situations need to be imagined by these leaders because that's why they are leaders out there. And these setting time problems, we envisage the challenge that we need to create a solution today for problems which don't even exist. We spend a lot of time on this. So when something happens, we're able to react very quickly to make sure that the situations are countered. A lot of time we spend time is in the occurrence time problem. If we don't have enough setting type problems and solutions, we always have end up in the occurrence type problem, which is nothing but strategic, which is setting type, and tactical, which is occurrence. So the more time we spend in the strategic decision making and problem solving, we are able to spend lesser and lesser time in operations slash tactical. What are these action plans? These action plans are based on two things. This is about every employee or every team member. There are two axes here. One is the axis of willingness and the axis of ability. We want everyone to be in S2, but most people will find will be in S3 and S1. We hopefully don't recruit people in S4 because our HR department and our screening process should have taken care of it. Our challenge is always to move from S3 and S1 to S2. Again, ability and willingness, knowledge, skills, experience come under ability, motivation, commitment, and confidence comes under willingness. We want people with willingness, even if ability is not there, we are there as an organization to impart it. But here we look at people with an attitude rather than qualifications. And we do think, I talked to you about the PDCA culture, that having this kind of a process will also help us in having very, very good problem solvers, which is very important to have in the middle management. Next one, ma'am. Well, as a top management, as a top manager in our company, for us, there are very few things one needs to do. One is target setting, of course. It is very, very important to know our current situation, where we need to be, and the journey we need to take for that to happen. So target setting happens for us primarily in business, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and profitability. All four go hand in hand. All four are equal pillars. Of course, the pillars of employee and customer satisfaction are important for business to happen and profitability to come. but we don't talk the profitability as a bad word. Profitability is a great word. The more profitable we are, the more resources we could probably deploy for a happy customer, and also in form of great employees. We think that over ambitious target setting or extremely safe target setting needs to be balanced out, because both of them are dangerous to organization. Both leads to complacency or places where low motivation and morale goes in. So we are quite realistic in our target setting, but also challenging at the same time, and making sure these challenging targets also are split into smaller challenges, into smaller groups, and all of them is backed by data. Next one. Regarding visualization, our monitoring process is very, very strong. We are one of the dealerships where a lot of, or most, if not every pilot project which has been implemented, we are able to sustain it. We don't not only sustain it in one branch, we're able to sustain this in we sustain it in one branch, we take the learnings and go and implement it in other branches also. And by doing it, one of the reasons why we're able to do this is we have extremely good monitoring, and monitoring also means that we also raise up to challenges in terms of there's an irregularity control. In case there is a challenge, the challenge identification is done, and we also make sure what are the resources which need to be deployed for making sure this challenge is we come up with solutions and we are able to go back in line with timelines. So this is something which we spend a lot of time on. As I talked to you about, we do have a very strong PDCA culture, and monitoring also is a very, very strong tool which we benefit from the PDCA culture. And this helps us in order to visualize a problem, in order to make sure there's clear goal settings, the problem identification is done, then a goal setting is done regarding what we need to do and how we need to journey towards a goal, and what are the resources which need to be deployed for solving that issue. Next one, please. Next one. Thank you. At the end of the day, we don't want to be the best dealership in India. We don't want to be the best dealership in the state. We don't want to be even the best dealership in our brand. We want to be the best dealership in our city, best automobile dealership. We are dealing with two-wheelers, we're dealing with commercial vehicles, we're dealing with cars. Our only journey is to make sure that when a customer, when an employee, when a person from the society thinks of a dealer, it has to be Anaamalais. Whether it is in terms of customer satisfaction, whether it is in terms of nation building, whether it is in terms of our facilities, the first thing which needs to come into the mind is Anaamalais. I'm sure this is a moving target. Most of the people, most of my dealers who are in my city are either a cousin or a friend or a relative or a well-wisher. We always also keep exchanging a lot of ideas. It really helps. It really helps having a very open attitude of learning, where we learn from each other. And there's one thing great in our automobile industry, where across brands we're able to learn from each other and therefore take our levels much higher. Rati also talked about how it's a great place to learn from each other. I think the moment we can start learning from each other as dealers, we don't need consultants anymore. The best consultant is a person who lives, who breathes something. And I think we as dealers, we are very passionate about the brands we represent and things we do. I think it's a great place to learn from. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I think it's been 45 minutes, and I hope it's been useful for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you so much for a very, very informative session indeed. If you have maybe 5 more minutes, we can just take a couple of questions. We've got one question from Krishna. She says that middle level, senior level, not an issue, but serious concern with sales consultants, service advisors, junior level retention. What is your mantra? What is your suggestion? How do you retain manpower at the frontline level? If you can give us some guidance on that.
Krishna, the biggest thing about the front line is the first experience they have. Mostly the front line are the people who are the freshers in our organization. And we also need to empathize with them, because these guys are or the ladies are the ones who really go and represent our organization to our customers, because either it's service advisor or salesman, we need to go and find out from them where are their issues. A lot of their issues actually are not too complicated. Yes, there are issues where there are instances where people jump job even for 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. But most of the time, where we lose out on good feedback is our exit interviews if they're not strong. Most of the exit interviews which I've witnessed have talked about company policies not being correct, bias happening, clarity of communication not happening regarding policies, and so on. Yes, probably 15, 20%, 30% maximum would be regarding salary. 70% of them are issues which we can solve ourselves if we can sit and talk with them, either when they are with us or when they leave.
I hope that answers your question, Krishna. We have another question from Rupali. What she wants to understand is if you can detail out a little bit on growth paths. She feels that there are not many in the dealership business. If you can expand on that a bit.
Ma'am, I'll give you certain examples because growth path is by itself is a huge topic. As I told you, the president of my group is started off as a pump boy. The CEO of my group started off as a body and paint technician. The head of sales of my group, of course, was started off as a CR executive. There are instances where also my driver has become a manager over a period of time. My technician has become the service head of a group. Sorry, it's not my technician has become the manager of a branch, and so on. There are people, as I told you, we also keep shifting jobs. A salesperson will never be in sales for more than 3 years. They get shifted elsewhere. Making sure that that there are obtained amount of opportunities where growth paths can be given. We only need to look at it. The growth path, as long as if we are able to make it work along with job rotation, massive opportunities in a dealership which can happen. Of course, let's say the dealership is about only 15, 20 people there, then it becomes difficult. But otherwise, I think a lot of the dealerships right now are not less than 50, 60, 100 people. So a lot can be done in a dealership for a growth path to be done.
Okay, I've had some issue with my internet. There is another question, but okay, yeah. So I think Rishu asked this question on how do you tackle. So process following is very important. How do you tackle? You try and coach and guide people to follow processes, but if still there is a lack of adherence, then how do you tackle with it? Sorry, Rishu, there was an issue with my internet. So I'm just trying to remember this is the question and putting it across.
Then we're not good teachers. Then we can really improve on our teaching. We can really improve on our. See, a great teacher is measured by the pass rate of the students. Here it is how people are able to understand the process. Probably we need to go back and start reworking a process regarding a lot of people. It's kind of a bitter pill to swallow first. Processes are really tough to implement. They are a pain. Because most times process actually adds something to what we currently do and doesn't subtract it initially. But in the medium term, people start realizing it. In the long term, people start loving it because processes make things easier. It also makes things more consistent in terms of deliverables. It's also an organization culture which needs to come in. Processes sometimes are forgotten when performance needs to be done month end. We need to build these vehicles, we need to retail these vehicles. So damn process, let's quickly get this done. There's a shortcut, let's get it done. These guys also see all this happening. When we start doing this, we start cutting corners, they think it's perfectly fine to do for them to do too. It's an organization culture, man. As long as we're able to sustain things, even in the worst of environments, in the most challenging of times, like a month in, something very small, they would also learn from the fact that, you know, the processes are cycles. Yeah, it takes time.
There is another question which we
Yeah.
have received from Garima ma'am, you're there?
Yes, I'm very much there. Just struggling with the internet, but I can see. So there is another question from an anonymous attendee says, what motivational programs should we do for our employees?
There is, see, for all this, there is no Brahmastra. There is no one single thing which can happen. We do a lot of things. We have a lot of town halls. We have a lot of kaizens. The other things we do is we have, in case as a top performer, not only the top performer recognized in our outlets, we also go to their house and cut a cake in front of the family. As I told you, we have this scheme where anyone gets married, we bring the in-laws and the family of our team members to our dealership to see what they do there. Again, one of the biggest motivations is again clarity, communication. We're able to do that to our team members. They're happy about it. And being treated fair without a bias. All evaluations as much as possible, because there are certain times where we can't, but as much as possible, KPIs and KRIs are single things where we go and evaluate a person by, and we try taking the bias away as much as possible.
Thank you. How much time do we have, Vignesh? We have one or two more questions. Do we have time for?
We can take those, not an issue.
Okay. So the other question is from Rahul Goswami. How to build a position culture in an organization?
How to build a?
How to build a position in the organization?
I'm not able to get the question. The position culture in an organization means?
Position culture in the organization.
I'm not aware of it. So
maybe what they want is like you spoke about the hierarchy.
yes.
So how do you do it?
See, these are all softer things. It may depend upon brand to region to region. So if I can, I'm really not able to understand the question, but let's say culture up the higher up. So one of the reasons why our culture is strong every level is because most of our people have actually gone through the ranks. There are no, as I told you, there is no inorganic or lateral recruitment. So the culture has been imbibed very strong when they join in the orientation program. And as you go higher and higher and higher in the organization, the culture of the organization is super strong because each of them have spent so much of time also telling other people how important culture is. So the higher position you go to, the culture starts remaining cementing itself very strong because we started very, very early when they joined our organizations.
Thanks, Vignesh. I think there are still a lot of anxiety on the sales consultant retention. I think Krishna is also struggling. She says that, we try to make processes, but retention is a problem. So if you can give your final mantra on this, it would be of great help.
I wish I had a mantra, but honestly speaking, I don't. Honestly, we listen to our people. We are able to, and this changes from time to time. Sometimes, even a brand to brand. Sometimes the availability of vehicles could lead to attrition. Sometimes, unrealistic expectations could lead to attrition. Sometimes the biggest reason for attrition is all for 39 of us sitting here because we love doing the instant noodle Maggie thing by going and picking up people from each other. We are the worst offenders. The moment we stop doing it, people will stop jumping. So if all FADA dealers in India can decide where I want to poach, I want to make sure that I develop my own people. we're going to solve this issue. Because I have poached from you, you have poached from me. That's the worst thing which we keep doing to each other, whether it is sales, whether it is whatever staffing levels. We are the biggest culprits in spoiling our the team, the general team, and working in our organizations.
Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you so much. Very, very informative session. I really hope that after this session, we can go back to our dealerships and inculcate. I really feel even if I can inculcate maybe 10% of what you are doing, I may be able to increase my manpower retention considerably. So I hope that everybody who's joined the webinar today has had a similar experience. And thanks once again for taking out time and enlightening us on this.
Yeah, if I can have my final few cents. Friends, it's something which is very, very dear to me. FADA, of course, and also HR. Thanks for giving us an opportunity. The easiest thing for us to do is to have celebrations there. We can have an employee day, which we do. We have star of the month celebrations, which we do. We can always award them and give them this and that over a period of time or a quarter, which we do. The toughest things to do is few of the things which I mentioned, putting things in process, making sure we invest in training, make sure we are able to invest in HR department, which actually goes through people development. All these things are things which are the hardest to do, but we won't do it because it takes time. We also were well at it, but over a period of time, because we've been there in the business for so long, we learned our lessons, and we also learned most of our lessons from other dealerships. There are huge behemoths around us, people who have opened their doors for us to come and learn from. We are grateful for that forever. And this is a great industry to be in. This industry is something which always evolves, changes, thrives. So be confident in investing in this industry, but also be confident in investing in our people. The moment we can do that, I think a lot of the issues are going to be solved. One request, as we spoke about not too long ago, is that let's stop poaching people from each other. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Garima.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vignesh. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for participating, taking out time. And I'm sure that